The Rupee Show, featuring me, is my Michael. And that will be coming up straight after this show at 12 o'clock. So I'll be swapping places with Dawn, and I will be co-presenting with my good friend who is in the back putting together what hopefully will be a great show. Dawn.
Good morning again.
Let's talk about this reading project.
Okay, so the Norfolk Reading Project is a group of people who've come together to put together a project to take into schools to help children with their reading, and it is that simple. And what we're looking for at the moment is volunteers who've got just a few hours a week. It might be just 2 hours, or it might have to be more, and can go in and encourage the children to read one-to-one, because a lot of the children are not having that reading time. And I can understand that if parents are busy, that has to be put on the shelf.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. And also, as well, there's a reluctance sometimes for children to read. And within schools, I think it's more structured. So by having a volunteer coming in and giving them one-to-one time, it can help to improve their reading abilities and boost up their confidence. So most of it is about encouraging the children and giving them a chance to explore if they can or cannot read, and then just helping them along the way.
Okay. Is this during class time? Or?
Yeah, it's during class time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's normally done in the afternoons, which is more, less constructive time in school, or they're doing things which they can take time out of.
Oh, okay, understand. Yeah.
So they get, not a vast amount of time, but maybe just 10 minutes where they can come out and they can explore their book, whatever they're reading at the moment, and you can help them to read.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's encouraging children to be able to basically under the concept of what it is they're reading, not just I can read, because a lot of children will learn to read, but they don't understand what they've read.
Okay.
And when you're thinking about the bigger project, what we read on a page relates to what's going on in life, doesn't it?
Of course, yes, yeah.
And if we can't understand the concept of what we read and we don't know what the words mean, basically we've got a stumbling block before we start.
Okay.
And if somebody had recognised that in me when I was younger, I would have I think it would have made such a difference.
Yeah. Going back to what you were talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think children are very good at what I'd call picture reading. So they could read a picture and tell you a story about it, but they maybe have not picked up on what the words are, so the words aren't relating in their mind. So if they come across those words in a different concept, like on your poster behind you, they wouldn't know what listen meant, because they'd interpret in their mind what they thought those words meant.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, it's such a simple thing, but it's the basis of everything they need for the rest of their lives.
It does sound. I mean, I'm asking the question now, maybe based on what other people might be thinking. Well, why aren't the teachers doing this?
Okay. Well, the teachers teach the children. You're working with the phonics at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
So it's about the sounds of the words and the sounds of the letters and how to put them together. And they are teaching the children, but there are some children who basically they just don't get it yet. Maybe they're, the way their mind is wired. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that in maybe a bigger class, there's too much of an overload. Maybe they didn't grasp what the teacher said, and they need it to be repeated.
Yeah.
And that was me.
Yeah.
So they're already dwelling on, oh my goodness, what did she just say? The teacher skipped ahead 2 things, and they haven't grasped what she said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's sequential learning.
Okay.
So children will hear a point, they need a little few moments to process that, to relate to it. So often with a colour or an image or an emotion.
Yeah.
And then that helps them to understand the story.
Okay.
If the teacher's jumped ahead to something else, their mind goes from there to there, and it's like jumping from one side of the lake to the other and not knowing how you got there.
I can completely understand that, yes.
Yeah. And that's often where children, their confidence starts going down because they feel like they're not getting what they've been taught.
Okay.
So it impacts on how receptive they are for the next bit of the class.
Yeah.
Because they're already wondering and doubting themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about all children in general, because some children really get it.
Yeah.
For some children, reading is a passion.
Yeah. It's easy for them.
Yeah. Absolutely. But for a lot of children, if they don't get that concept, or they've got sequential learning, maybe ADHD, where their mind is distracted by the things very quickly, they've got sensory overload because there's so many children and things going on in the class. More kids, or children, should I say, are interested in what their friend is doing than what they should be looking at on the table, aren't they?
Easily distracted.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Or maybe short-term memory loss, where you can tell someone something, and a few minutes later, it's like, what did she say?
Yeah.
Because it takes time to process that.
Yeah.
And basically, it's not the fault of the teachers, because the teachers don't have time to comprehend and take on board all of that in one go.
Okay, I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I did part of my teaching was on a thing called human factors, and
Yeah.
we used to teach about how we perceive things, and it is different for everyone,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, some people perceive it by sounds or by sight or even smell. So I'm not saying we can teach people via smells, but it's certainly it's easier for some people to retain information based on something else. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I could relate to that when Jackie did her speech at the Speakers Club last time, because she talked about how children, and that was quite an extreme if you're looking at what we're talking about today, a lot of these children who don't understand in school become disruptive to get the attention.
Yes.
And then they end up getting more and more in trouble.
Yes.
And she was talking about the statistics of how children who end up in prison or in some sort of a exclusion.
Yeah.
And often this comes because the child doesn't comprehend and can't retain what they've been taught. So they're looking for the attention, but they just go around it in the wrong way.
Yeah. And it was interesting, Jackie said about, it was, well, I thought it was strange. Norwich were 334th out of 335 districts or areas that had the most exclusions. Ipswich was slightly below.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, you were brought up in Norwich, and I used to live in Norwich, and it's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It is a fine place, but there must be something about the schooling in Norwich that I'm sure that all the children are not that bad. But
no, I don't think they are. I think it's just, if we were talking 1 out of 10 children, we can help 1 out of 10 children who are struggling right now. It's going to make a difference in the whole of their life.
Yeah, that I can't remember who the quote was from, but show me the boy at 7, and I'll show you the man.
Yes, I think. Oh my goodness me, that was in a speech recently, wasn't it?
That was Jackie's speech.
It was Jackie's speech.
I can't remember who actually. I think she said that there was actually 2 people said it. It was a psychologist, a famous psychologist. But it is true. It's the formative years, up until about 11, you can shape a person one way or the other, really, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking to the children, reading to them, and helping them, and just listening as well. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and we had encouraging them, but rather than, I think, if I remember back in the days when I was in school, they were, and it's no one's fault. Sometimes, we're just trained to be that way, aren't we? Or we are just that way.
Yeah.
To put a child down when they can't do something dampens their enthusiasm. It lowers their self-esteem. They start believing they can't do something, and that's the label they start giving themselves. And that's where basically the well-being or the lack of well-being comes in, because the child is already starting to believe that they can't. And when you've got that mindset, one of the reasons for the project is to encourage children to believe they can. They can read. They just haven't been given the space or the opportunity or the understanding of how to.
Well, it certainly sounds worthwhile. I know we've talked about it outside of the show, and I'm quite interested in it. I'm not throwing myself forward yet, because since semi-retiring in February, I just have a minute to myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I always thought people just made that up, but it is quite true.
That is true.
But it is. It does sound very worthwhile, and I think if we can change one person's life, then what a great thing that is. Let's have some more music now for our listeners to listen to, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more. Here's a little bit of 80s. Everybody knows that I like a bit of 80s. My show on Mondays is pure 80s. This is Prefab Sprout and the King of Rock and Roll. Okay.
Harbour Radio.
We're back. It's 10:47 and the traffic in Great Yarmouth is looking horrendous. There has been a serious accident at the Captain Hall roundabout, and it has caused long tailbacks towards Bradwell. So if you're in that and you're listening to Harbour Radio on 107.4, relax, breathe, and enjoy the conversation that I'm having with Dawn Crystal, who's here to talk about the Norfolk Reading Project. Dawn, you've passed me some information and I've looked at that. There's a training manual. So I was just wondering, is there any special skills that one would need to join this project?
No skills at all. I think just a passion to want to help the children, because the training comes with the project. So when you sign up for the project, they'll find out why you'd like to do it, what area you live in, and then they'll put you in touch with the training program to, so that you can learn to work with phonics.
Okay.
And from there, you then have the ongoing support of the team whenever you need it. They allocate a school for you, or you can choose a school that you work in. And if you haven't got a DBS check, they'll get you a free DBS check.
Yes, I understand.
Because that's an important part of it.
Of course, working with children.
Then you're allocated a school that you can work in. You've done your training, which you can retrain whenever you want to.
Okay.
It's normally like a 4-hour workshop, and with ongoing help if you want it.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the school, each school I think needs to then do their own DBS check. So it's a little while before you can actually get into the school.
Of course, yeah.
Because obviously we need to tick all the boxes, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we need to be careful.
Yeah. But the training is done by Anne and Leslie and a group of people who basically come and they talk you all the way through how to help the children, and how each vowel sounds, how each word sounds, and how the children put them together with this new language. It sounds like a new language to me.
Yes.
Because it's different. It says, oh my goodness me, I'm trying to think of how to put it together in a way I understand it, as maybe I can relate to other people. When we talk, we tend to talk and we just keep running into words, don't we?
Yeah.
Or one word runs to another. But often we don't stop and think about the process of what each word sounds like. We just put things together. And often that can be misinterpreted by what someone's hearing.
Okay.
So what they're doing, they're helping the children to break down the words, to understand them, to hear them, and to be able to then spell them. So there's a little process there.
I do remember, I can't really remember how I was taught to read.
Yeah.
I think it was just a case of sitting down and doing it. But I do know that there was a little bit younger than me, went through a new kind of language.
Yeah.
And is this what this is?
Yeah, the phonics.
Okay.
Yeah, phonics are about the sounds of the letters and the sounds of the words. So if we had a word like community behind you, there's k, o, m, a, n, I, t, yeah. And you put those, you separate them up and then learn to put them together as a word. So for me, I was like, oh my goodness me, my impatience got in the way a bit. Because I thought, oh my goodness, I can see that's community. But if a child doesn't understand what the letters are and the sound of them, they might hear the word but not comprehend how to put them together.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot more behind the background there, but it's really simple when you've been explained it.
Okay.
And it gave me a whole new concept of how children are learning.
Okay.
And it's helped me with my grandson as well. So for me, doing the course has actually helped me with my grandson.
Oh, so it has the benefits then for parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they've got young children, they can develop their own children.
Yeah,
in the way
absolutely.
That they're helping out with this project.
And the schools, the Norfolk Reading Project, actually have given parents the opportunity to go and learn for themselves.
Yeah, so a new skill.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. It's just interesting that you use the word community, because with my Northern Irish accent, it's one of those words I find difficult. I always then resort to my Northern Irish accent, and I have the word community
Community.
rather than, and it's the same. I do
Yeah.
do the weather on
Yeah.
the Jason Roop show, and I can't say the word shower. It comes out SHAR, shower.
Sure.
So maybe I need to learn a few this what do you call it?
Phonetics.
Phonetics. Of course it is. Okay, it's good. Well, let's put my mind at ease if I was thinking about volunteering for this. And you mentioned going into a particular school, so you can actually choose the school.
You can choose the school if you realise there's a need.
Okay.
You approach whoever's in the SEND or the SENCO.
Okay, yeah.
Or talk to one of the teachers, talk to the headmaster and say, I'm thinking about joining up this project. I'd like to come help with children reading.
Okay. So I mean, I live in Caister, so maybe there would be somebody, a school in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the moment they're focusing mostly on Great Yarmouth and Gorleston because that's where the most need is.
Okay.
And I think in Norfolk at the moment, or Great Yarmouth area, there was only about 20 volunteers. And how many schools have we got? About 400?
Yeah.
So all of those schools need the help and support.
Okay. So there's plenty of opportunity out there for if somebody was thinking about this.
Absolutely. Most of the schools we're working with the younger age, so key stage 1.
Yeah.
So if we can catch children at the beginning and help to build up their confidence to start with, then they can take that through the rest of their school life.
Yeah, of course. You create that foundation for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we've come up to an hour's flown past.
I know, it's gone so quick.
And unfortunately, it won't be flying past for these people who are sitting on the A47 around the Gapton Hall area. It still looks pretty bad. I hope everybody's okay and nobody's been hurt in that accident. We're going to play some music now, and then we're going to have a little bit more conversation. Later, on my show, the Angus show, we do, of course, 80s, but we also do songs from the movies, because there were a lot of great movies in the 80s. And this is one of them.